What's up, guys? Welcome to Monchkinz Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Monchkinz logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And welcome to my video guide for Kam'Lanaut's event called the Ambition for Provenance Chaos Fight. Before we start this video, hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help my channel. And let's get on with this video. And of course, we'll start this video off with the abilities, weaknesses, resistances, and elements that the boss can absorb. We'll start off with the multiple weaknesses that this boss has, which is kind of surprising for a chaos fight. It is weak to fire, ice, water, wind, holy, and dark elements, and has a ×2 resistance to magic-based attacks. It also doesn't have any elements that it can absorb, and for its abilities it has its normal brave attack, which is a melee brave attack, which also increases its brave, tail hit, which is a melee HP attack and again increases its brave afterwards, critical, which is a guaranteed critical melee brave attack, which also increases its brave. This does have a plus variant, which basically with a bigger brave gain, and it has dash cut, which is a melee brave attack, which again increases its brave afterwards. It also has a plus variant and a attack mode variant, so the dash cut plus attack grants itself a attack up to itself and is a melee brave attack, again increasing its brave afterwards. There is a guard variety of this one as well, and basically this will grant him a shield instead of an attack up. Next is Hop Spin, which is a group melee brave attack which grants itself an odd threat to itself. Now odd threat plus is from level 150 onwards. It will again increase its brave afterwards and will have a low turn rate. Now odd threat is a very unique buff. Think of it like Yuffie's debuff. Basically the enemies can't basically gain any brave outside attacking the enemy boss. So basically, like if you have an attack that increases its brave before it does an attack, basically you won't get that increase of brave before that attack. So this is very important to actually dispel. Next is Burst Breath, which basically covers itself from its break status and will do a group magic brave attack plus HP attack, and once again increasing its brave. Now Burst Breath also has a plus variant, basically having a greater brave increase. Now let's talk about stances that the boss will have. It has attack change, which basically cancels the defense boost from guard change. This basically raises its attack and further raises all its stats with mode up, and even further raises all of its stats with mode up plus. Now guard change is basically the opposite. Basically this will cancel the attack boost from the attack change and raises its brave, and again will basically increase all its stats with mode up and mode up plus. It also has default change, which basically cancels both the attack boost from attack change and defense boost from the guard change. This however will still increase all its stats with mode up and mode up plus. And finally, you will see a text called Looking Restless. This basically increases its speed, and this is basically the quote-unquote enrage version or enrage mechanic of the fight. The boss is also immune to the defense down debuff. Okay guys, so moving on from the abilities, weaknesses, and resistances, let's take a look at some general tips and guide. And the first one I have for you guys here is to save about 60% of your abilities for the final wave. And the main reason for this is you are going to be fighting two bosses which do have a lot of HP. Even though this is a two-wave fight, I would highly suggest trying to save as much of your abilities for the final wave, because basically, I mean, the first wave, the two cavaliers aren't really much of a threat, so you can technically just start using your HP attack plus, especially if you're capping your brave quite frequently with your team compositions. Now the next one I have here is, of course, use the boosted characters such as Kam'Lanaut, Shantoto, Rydia, and of course Lulu. And if you don't have any of these boosted characters, other characters that you can consider bringing are listed below, and Honestly, the biggest takeaway here is I know I can't really put every single character here because it's going to be a long list. But the biggest takeaway is if you are planning to bring a magic-based character, make sure you can actually enchant and imperil some type of element so you can actually use them. For example, Lulu can imperil and enchant the entire party with the fire element. So this way, it will be viable for you to actually bring those magic DPS that doesn't actually use any imperil. So if they are non-elemental magic based characters, then it is quite worth it to bring either Lulu or even Rydia. And as for the healers plus Brave Battery options, I mean, we have an abundance of characters to choose from Charlotta, Ram, Eiko, Ignis, Rosa, Kate Sith, or even Ishtola. And as for your summon, you can actually bring any of the following summons, Ifrit, Shiva, Ramuh, or Brothers, because the boss are technically weak to pretty much all of the elements. I suppose it's not weak to the Brothers element and Ramuh, so you probably want to choose either Shiva or Ifrit, and you know how I feel about Leviathan. Okay guys, now let's move on to the general strategies that I have implemented or noticed that will help you to finish this fight. The first one, let's talk about the friend support. As always, I do highly suggest just bring Aranea. She is a beast of a character, and you won't go wrong having a friend Aranea. Having your own Aranea, of course, is definitely gonna be helpful as well. The next one is Delay and Paralyze are going to be your best friends. Now, this is probably kind of common knowledge now, but if you are new to Dissidia Opera Omnia, delaying your enemies and applying Paralyze will give you free turns. So I highly suggest if you have some sort of characters, hint hint, Aranea, use them and this fight will be a lot easier. Now for the next tip I have for you guys here is to either bring a Dispeller or an Imperiler. Now there are two ways to actually go around into removing the boss's buffs, especially the Odd Threat Plus. So this is important to break because you really want to get as much Brave as you can, especially for those characters that actually gain Brave before they do attacks. So this is an important thing to do or to actually consider. Having a Dispeller like say Vanille, of course the boss is double resistance to magic. Again, that's when an Imperator comes around. And you can actually bring Balthier, who can actually steal those buffs and therefore will work against the boss. And so that's another way to go around it. And Faris can also be a good Dispeller. The Imperiler route can be a little bit hard, but as you guys can see in this video, that's what I went with. So basically the idea is when the bosses have those buffs is you try to break them to remove those buffs. So basically, even though their number is like 3 turns or whatever, if you break them, those frame buffs will disappear. So the biggest way to go around this is to actually have an Imperiler so you can do more damage, because the boss eventually will have so much stat up that it will be very hard for you to actually break them. So having some sort of like Imperiler to increase the amount of damage output that you are doing is definitely gonna help, and especially if you have gravity based attacks just like Yuri, or you can even bring let's say Bartz can do pretty well as well. You can technically still bring Ultimisia, but I would highly suggest maybe moving away from that, especially if you don't have Lulu. So yeah, it's just a style whether you like to dispel it or you rather break the boss and just go gung-ho. And the last 2 tips I have for you guys here is bring a tank or a healer, or bring both just for safety. Now bringing a tank, Zack's shield for example is pretty much so OP that the boss actually don't have enough stat to actually break it. I don't even have an initial Brave passive I believe for Zack's shield, and they could not break it. So having a tank is definitely going to help. Warrior of Light shield as well is definitely going to help. Healer just for emergencies. My first run here, the boss actually used Burst Breath Plus, but I couldn't heal through it because my only healer is Yuri. This was the same party composition I went with, and what happened was if I use Yuri's EX ability, I would have killed the boss and I wouldn't have time to heal, and that's what ended up happening. So yeah, bring a healer just in case. Okay guys, now let's move on to possible party composition. The first one is going to be the boosted team: Lulu, Kam'Lanaut, Shantoto with Arnea and Shiva for the summon. Again, Lulu is a better Imperialer and Enchanter at the moment compared to Rydia because of the EX plus era. Unfortunately for Rydia, she doesn't have her EX plus yet. Shantoto is basically here for Imperial and damage, Kam'Lanaut for good auras and damage as well, and Arnea friend for your delays. I can't speak. Next up is the team that you guys are seeing on this video: Lulu, Yuri, Zack with Arnea support, Shiva for the summon. Basically the same team I used for Lulu's Lost Chapter. Lulu is for Imperial and Enchant, Yuri for Brave and HP regen and damage, of course, Zack to tank. Okay, moving on, for the third team, I have here Balthier, Rosa, and Arnea with Arnea support, and Shiva for the summon. Balthier is here to basically steal those buffs that the boss applied to themselves, so you don't have to deal with that. Rosa for Brave Battery, and of course healing, and if by any chance you got killed by or they kill one of your characters, at least you can auto revive. Arnea for the big damage, and of course delays. And the last team I have for you guys here is Golbez, Yuri, Warrior of Light with Arnea support, and Brothers for the summon. Now Golbez is here for big damage, Yuri again Brave and HP regen, and of course damage. Both Golbez and Yuri can Imperil. Warrior of Light is basically here just so he can provoke, and of course the shields are very important for survivability, and he can also heal a little bit as well. Okay guys, we're towards the end of this video, and of course I'll give you guys my final thoughts on this fight. Now, in all honesty, I found this fight a little bit more easier than Lulu's Lost Chapter. I think if you have the right party composition, I mean, of course if you have the right party composition, this will be a little bit easier. But still, I brought the same team as Zack, Lulu, and Yuri, and I still found this fight quite easier than Lulu, so I would put this fight a little bit in the below medium, I guess, more in probably in between the easy and the medium difficulty. And in all honesty, even like their Burst Breath Plus, which will do like group magic brave plus HP attack, can be silenced as well. That's one thing I didn't mention earlier. And it doesn't really do that much damage, at least because probably I have Zack. I didn't have like 3 characters getting broken at the same time, but you can definitely heal through it. It's not a one-shot, I would say. So yeah, and that's how I feel about this fight, just in between easy and medium. There's certainly some annoying instances, especially with the boss's frame buffs, but other than that, it's pretty okay. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. Please remember to click like, subscribe if you haven't already. It does help my channel to grow, and of course it helps with the YouTube algorithm. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Monchkinz Gaming. Leave down in the comments below what your team was for this particular fight. This is Monchkinz logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.